Welcome to the weekly CrockPet Q&A. I'm your host, Michael Daly, certified holistic pet health coach, certified canine massage therapist, and certified equine shiatsu massage practitioner, vet tech for a long time, cat owner for a long time. All right, Amy had a question. Michael, I keep hearing you say one batch won't make or break it. It's the overtime effect to watch out for, but just to make sure, I want to ask, is it okay to make one batch without calcium citrate? I'm out and can't get it until next batch. And yeah, that's totally fine. It's just really uh, long-term usage of it, which I did respond to you because I didn't want you to panic. But yeah, Michael's right. A dog is not going to show nutritional deficiencies missing out on one batch. He's right. Yep. Leona, there is calcium in food also, which is very true. If you're too concerned, look into foods you can add that are calcium rich: salmon, leafy green, beans, dairy, or a few. Yeah, and it's just easier just not to. You're good. But you had a question about wondering if there's a way to thicken up the CrockPet meal after cooking without losing liquid nutrients. I put around the same amount of water in each batch, but this time it seems really extra watery, and it just varies. So I think from what I was reading from one of your other posts, Heather, that you are doing a full keto diet. Is that correct? So maybe no beans. So you can try. So without grains, it's 2 cups of water per batch. So you can try doing 1 cup if you're not doing beans and see how that does. You're not going to lose any nutrients. Also, to keep in mind, some vegetables are more watery than others. So, like, I know that when I put like peppers in, like red peppers or yellow peppers, things like that, it tends to be more watery. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Other people had answered. Rena had said that has only happened to me once, and I just took some of the liquid out and put it in a jar and used it later to mix in with their food. That's a great idea, Rena. There you go. Yeah, it's sort of like that. And it's really funny how sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. Linda bakes it in the oven. Some people are really good with the oven stuff. Everyone has their own forms. I mean, as I've learned on this page. Beverly, I have the same. I use an Instapot cooking in 2 steps: meat in 1 pot, veggies in the second pot. I use the juice from the meat as a liquid for the veggies. There is more liquid depending on what veggies I use. And that's what I was saying about the peppers. I really think the best way to do it should be kind of just aware of how much liquid you're putting in, and maybe just straining it. I wouldn't worry about if you're gonna if you have it's so liquidy and you want to remove some of the water to make it thicker. I wouldn't worry about losing the nutrients, which is an answer to your question above. Because the holistic total body support does cover the nutrition. Because remember, so I say a lot of times it needs this to meet the minimum AFCO requirements, but the original CrockPet diet isn't a diet that is meeting the original the minimal AFCO requirements. It's above it. It's above it. So with the multivitamin, so you're not gonna with the multivitamin, you are rounding out nutrition. So I wouldn't really worry about losing the nutrients by getting some of the water out to make it thick, if that's helpful, Heather. Because I really honestly can't think of something else to use to make it thicker once you have cooked it. What could you do? Yeah, I wouldn't worry about losing the nutrients if you need to take some of the water out. I think that would be the best answer for that question. I need to post it again and people had some more answers. Let's see. Sue Fitz, what Rena said below, or you can crack the lid a bit to vent out the extra, but why not use a liquid goodness? Liquid goodness. Yeah, maybe mix it in like a water bowl or something like that. They'll drink more water that way. Use it as like a little water flavoring. Heather Polly, Sue Fitz are picky about consistency. Oh, Heather. Oh gosh, they're so funny. So they like it thicker. Yeah, well, just if they like it thicker, then just take the water out. Soup, it's just add like this. My puppies love to eat it. Oh, that looks so good, actually, Sue. Leona, I add psyllium husk to the bowls. I prep because I add hot water to get the chill off the food. That thickens it up. Ooh, I add psyllium husk to the bowls. I prep because I add hot water to get the chill off the food. That thickens it up. That's not a bad idea. Psyllium husk is a source of fiber, so they will be getting a lot of fiber with the vegetables and the psyllium husk, which so you just may see more defecation. Watch for diarrhea with the psyllium husk. That would be my only thing, but you can give that a try. It's not a bad. That's not if it's working. That's great. Michael, and make it soupy. Always have. I do too, Michael. Actually, I like to make it really, really soupy. All right, Pamela, what does everyone think about high pH levels in the urine? My Bella had a pH of 9, but wants her on CD food. Of course, I said no and shared that ACV will help pH levels. What does everyone else do to bring pH levels back to normal? By the way, no crystals at all. She does have high protein levels in her urine, though, which we are following up on. Bella is almost 12 years old and healthy in every other way. So, high pH means that the urine is more alkaline, so you want the urine to be at a pH of about 6, 7. 6 below is too acidic. Above 6 or 7 is too alkaline. 9 is pretty high, so that's good that they were in crystals, but you can form, I think it's calcium oxalate crystals, which is why they're recommending CD, which is more of an alkaline based food, and that's why that is recommended. So, or I'm sorry, a more acidic food. Excuse me. So when it's 9, it's more alkaline, so you want to make the food more acidic. So what you can add is vitamin C powder to the food. The dosing is, I have it written down, 1.2 grams of vitamin C powder, which is about 1/2 teaspoon per day of that. And so what I would do, Pamela, is actually go to a drugstore and get pH strips, and you can actually test the urine yourself with that, and keeping an eye on it. Definitely follow up on the high protein levels, making sure that the blood works. So protein can be a sign that the kidneys are not functioning well and that protein is getting spilled into the urine. So there are a couple of tests that you'd want to run. Blood work to make sure kidney levels are doing good. So that would be the BUN and creatinine, and SDMA, which is a test that can show kidney function overall. And then there is a urine protein creatinine ratio that can get a more specific diagnostic on protein spillage. So yeah, so just make sure you're running those tests as well. For a 12-year-old, that can be pretty. That may be some signs of early kidney disease. So just make sure you're running all those tests as well. All right, let's see. Mark and Julie, in case of our BZs, we had a fourth cup of water to her CrockPet meals. Zena, I believe apple cider vinegar with green tea may bring those down. The vinegar, I think, can do that because it's acidic. I would actually just stick with the. I would actually stick more with the. So the powder, the vitamin C powder is what Dr. Roberts recommends. So that's what we used to do a lot at Sundog Cat Moon, and that's a dosing she recently gave me. So again, it's 1.2 grams of vitamin C powder, which is a 1/2 a teaspoon per day, and then double check with a pH strip, Pamela. Dana had a question. So I purchased a bunch of stuff in the markdown produce section, mostly yellow squash, zucchini, green beans, and white asparagus. I'm going to freeze what I don't use tomorrow. I also brought these, which I know are called patty pan squash. I am guessing from what I read, since mine are small, I can cut into chunks and cook with everything else. My question, would these be a good substitutes for carrots? Jack hates carrots and can leave them with surgical precision. Serena had answered, I think the carrots are orange flesh squash in the recipe for their vitamin A and beta carotene qualities. So I don't think this should replace carrots, but could be used toward the 4 cups of vegetables. Someone please confirm. Yep, and I confirmed that with Rena. Yeah, and so Heather had commented because she got a little panicky about it. Does a multivitamin not fill in all the gaps for the vitamin requirements? This is concerning because my dogs must be on essentially keto diet per my holistic vet. If I'm not feeding carrots or yellow squash, am I creating nutritional deficit? And no, you're not, Heather, because the multivitamin does cover that. So you're fine. You're okay. Stick with, because I'm assuming the keto, he's being really strict with keto, not wanting high sugary kind of vegetables. So like orange squash and orange colory vegetables are higher on the hypoglycemic index. So yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Like, so the multivitamin does cover, like it does nutritionally round it. Some pets are allergic to carrots. That comes up as an allergy in some testing. So some dogs don't like carrots. I don't feel like you have to really replace those. I mean, they are there for vitamin A and beta carotene, but also like they're there to bump up some of the calories a little bit. So don't feel like stuck on the carrots. Like with the rotation elimination diet, I was just having this conversation. We actually leave out carrots completely. So that's totally fine. So don't feel like you have to replace the carrots. You can, I mean, and that's the thing. The diet is so like it's very loose. I know I say this a lot, but it's not like you can replace the carrots and you can add another cup of squash if you want to do that to make the calories. You can, there's all sorts of things you can kind of mix around. It's okay. So yeah, but I would like so this would be considered the 4 cups of the other squat of the other vegetable and not the brassica. Let's see. All right, Heather had a question about, and I just talked to Dr. Roberts about this yesterday. So Heather ordered another multi after having, yeah, and I'm so sorry, y'all, having like 5 issues ordering, getting it shipped to my house, in addition to missing items in my shipment that I paid for. It finally arrived after 2 weeks. I'm really, really sorry, everybody, about the shipping. It's been a constant struggle. Uh, Dr. Roberts is doing everything she can to fix it. They've gotten a new team. It's just taking a while to get it transitioned over. So we're working on better communication about items being shipped and things like that. So just please, 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 please hang in there with this stuff. I'm really, really sorry about it. So also I never noticed before, but the directions are kind of confusing. It reads 1/4 teaspoon 1 to 2 times a day, or dose can be split. Does that mean for a total of 1/2 teaspoon per day or 1/8 2 times a day? And why is this group including equivalent of a tablespoon? So, so yes. So you can either do yes. So you had it right. You weren't confused about it. So you can either do 1/2 teaspoon per day if you want to do it once a day, or you can break it up into 2 different meals. So either way is fine. It's just like you're taking your own multivitamin. You know. So you can either take it once a day, or you can cut it in half and take it twice a day. The spoon is equivalent to a tablespoon. I usually just tell people just to use a measuring spoon. It's hard to like every company has that. They have some basic scoop in their product. And sometimes I think it's a tablespoon just because I think for the dosing, there's some pets are 1 tablespoon. So I think that's why she doesn't have 1/4 teaspoon instead of a tablespoon in there. So Center Process has the same thing. They have I think it's 1/4 teaspoon scoop in their thing. So that's just sort of a normal product thing. But Heather, it is good. Your batch is fine. And please be patient with the shipping. We're trying to figure it out. I promise you. May, yes, and May, I am so sorry. I messed up on this and I really apologize. So, question about activated charcoal. Listening to Dr. Ruth right now, she's saying to give it away from supplements as it could draw them out too. So, how do I give it? And is this something to be used as needed or ongoing? I've reduced the probiotic to a quarter of a capsule. Charcoal daily right now seems to be doing the trick. Well, good. I mean, I'm glad it's doing the trick. Yeah, so I forgot to mention to give this away from other supplements or food because it can absorb good nutrients. So I talked to Dr. Roberts about it because I just want to make sure I got an answer from her, and she said that it's really it's if you're giving it together, it's totally fine unless you have been doing it for a long, long, long term. So, in which you haven't. So you're fine. But I would start giving it away from everything else, May. And I'm really sorry about not mentioning that. You had tagged me in here. All right, Kathy. My Dottie, who is 10.5 years of age, is starting fights with her sister at the same age. This was very infrequent, but it has become more regular. In fact, last week she picked 2 fights in a day. I managed to break it up before it gets going, but I'm afraid it can get vicious. She recently had a rabies shot, but I detoxed her before and after. Dr. Ruth once thought because she was on Proin for bladder control and offered an alternative that didn't work. These aggressive fits usually start with Daisy crosses Dottie's path when she walks by Dottie. Dottie is my white dog, I think. I may need a behaviorist, not a trainer. Does anyone have any recommendations? Yeah, and you may want to try a behaviorist. There were some really good recommendations, actually. Uh, let's see. Dana, two thoughts. Could she be showing signs of dementia? Aggression can be a symptom. Second thought might be failing eyesight. She's acting out of fear. God, right on the money, Dana. I was actually thinking that too. 10, I was like, maybe not though, but yeah, so aging dogs can get something called lenticular sclerosis in their eyes, and it's an aging change that they have difficulty seeing light from dark and things like that. So that may be something to watch for, Kathy. Dementia is definitely a thing to look out for. There's a really good product. There's a product by Mycodog, the mushroom tincture, called Clarity, which is supposed to be helpful for aging changes like dementia and things like that. I can put a link there for you, Kathy, if you want to try it. Becky says, I've had a single dog out and become aggressive toward another who had developed a medical condition and we just didn't know what, but he did. Yep. I'm not aware of behaviorists who work long distance. Maybe look up Susan Garrett to see if she has recommendations or referrals. Yeah, Susan Garrett is great. Susan Garrett is a well-known trainer. She trains a lot of agility dogs. Really well known, Kathy. So that's not a bad idea too. Good thinking, Becky. And also, always make sure like check blood work, check things like that. Make sure there's nothing physical going on. Kathy, you may honestly even want to do an ultrasound just to check like liver, kidneys, make sure there's no, cancers going on, that are hiding that may be bothering her. That's not a bad idea, Becky. I think that's a really good idea actually to make sure just completely do a complete physical, blood work, ultrasound. I would do that. And X-rays even maybe. Of course, I don't forget about the original Dr. Ian Dunbar. Not sure if he's still doing consultations though. Oh yeah, forgot about him too. God, these are great answers, y'all. Let's see. Yeah, Kathy, these are really great. I honestly, Kathy, would start with a full physical. Do that. Ultrasound, and then look into the clarity. I'll just put that in down here so you have it. I have a couple of clients on this. Kathy, but I can't honestly, not long enough to tell you like, oh, it's worked really well. But it seems like sounds like a good thing, right? And then what have we said? That was yeah. So yeah. There's something else. There's also a Chinese herb, Kathy. So like if you're looking at it in terms of possible anxiety with aging changes, there's a Chinese herb that if you message me, I can order it for you. Called Romania Settle Anxiety. And so the idea is that with aging changes, there's kidney yin deficiency and yang deficiency. So what happens is the shen or the spirit is housed in the heart, and when the heart, the yin and yang, and the heart is off balance, and the heart becomes overheated, the spirit has to get out of the house of the heart, and it goes out of the house and into the mind. And so the spirit is also called the shen, and so it's housed in the heart. So when it's too hot, the shen goes to the mind, and that's where you start to see anxiety and things like that with pets. And so what this supplementation does is help sort of balance out kidney deficiency. and everything like that. So, yeah, so any depletion of heart and yin or blood may exhibit signs such as heart and agitation. So, yeah. So, this may be a product to try too. If it's an anxiety thing due to aging changes, which is what we see a lot. A lot of you can tell me, they never had thunderstorm or firework anxiety, but since they've been older, they've gotten it. And there you go. That's the Chinese diagnosis of what's going on right there. So, which you really can't find in Western medicine. So, um, all right. I feel like that was it. Yeah. Okay, Kathy. All right, y'all. That's everything. I think you should be good. All right, y'all. I will see you next week. And all right, take care.